bap shoot bap 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 bap. What is that song? I don't know. Anyway, 1, 2, 3. Hello and welcome back to the Sketchpad pod. I'm Alicia. Today I am going to be going through my GCSE art sketchbooks. I recently did a video on my A-level art sketchbooks, so if you want to you can check that out somewhere up here. In my A-level art I got a grade A, and in my GCSE I got an A star, which I'm sorry, I did my GCSEs before the numbers thing, so it really confuses me, but I think that's a grade 8, right? Also on the previous video someone asked me what my examining board was for A-level, and I believe it was AQA, but I'm not 100% sure. But for my GCSE I was with WJEC, WJEC, which I believe is a Wales exam board normally, but my school, they thought that it would suit the students better, I guess. So if that helps you, great. And if you are interested in seeing my sketchbooks, I have this big one which we're going to start with, and then I have this smaller one which is my final major project, and I will have it time-stamped in the description below when I start both of these sketchbooks. If I remember correctly, I finished my GCSEs in 2016, and all I had to do was one big sketchbook and one smaller sketchbook. For most of GCSE I was set kind of thematic briefs. With all that being said, I'm going to start with this. We'll just open it up, shall we? You'll see that there's going to be a lot of like bits of tracing paper just to try and make sure that this work didn't get stained. I vividly remember spending about 3 months of my life just studying peppers. I think my teacher decided that it would be good to start with observation and trying out a bunch of different materials. So we had to go one by one through all the different techniques, and so we just looked at peppers for ages. This is my pencil page. I'm pretty happy with a few of these. Like, actually there is a pomegranate, which I think I did later on, I added, and I'm quite happy with that. One of the things with GCSE is you definitely have to like decorate your book more, and so you can see here I did a nice little blue background and a little title, and you have to write notes and paragraphs and make the book aesthetic. But yeah, so this is watercolour. We've only actually got the one pepper. I'm also pretty happy with this cabbage down the bottom here. I think that's pretty nice. I think I just enjoyed painting anything that wasn't peppers, to be honest with you. Watercolour is definitely not my favourite medium and ever has been. And here is a pretty funky page. This is ink. I really enjoyed making, it was a lot of fun. I used varieties of paper backgrounds, so I used paper with like musical notes, old book paper. I'm slightly sceptical about this one, I have to be honest with you. I think it's on toilet paper and it's an aubergine, so I don't really know what was going through my mind then. And you'll also see on a few of the pages that there are smaller circles which are like close-up studies and detail studies, which I think we are made to add in later just to like fill up the book a bit more. This is more inks, more experimentation. Again, I really loved doing cabbages. I thought they were really fun, and I love the like purpley colour here. This is quite funny. I found a stuffed pepper recipe, and so I drew a little pepper on the stuffed pepper recipe because puns. I thought it was funny. Anyway, moving along. On this page is acrylics. I have always been a fan of acrylics. I don't know about you, but we always had to use poster paint from like year 7 to year 9, which was not it. But here I'm trying out different techniques. So I scratched into some cardboard. I added some cornflower here to make the paint thicker. I did one of those things that kind of reminds me of when you're a kid and you can get those like Etch-a-Sketch thing where you sketch through black paint and it's meant to be an apple, so I quite like that. Okay, next page. This is my oil pastel page, and I really hadn't used much of oil pastels before GCSE. This giant orange is the first thing I did for my Art GCSE, and we then stuck it in later, so I did it onto sugar paper, and I just loved how oil pastels blended. I just thought they were so nice. I just feel like this was such a really successful piece, and I've never really created something in oil pastels that's the same. Yeah, we're not gonna like stay on this page too long. It's experiments, and I just played with cutting up images. This piece I do like. I drew with bleach and then it lightened the paper, I guess. So it's meant to be a pepper within that, but I do quite like how it turned out. And some horrible colour pencil drawings because I just didn't own good colour pencils. Okay, and the next page here is quite an interesting one. It is actually just a mood board. You can have either text or you can have images. So the theme was organics. We were told to pick one organic vegetable or fruit to study and to do more work on, and also a few kind of artist inspirations. So on this page here you can see more artist sculptures and copies. I chose the physalis as my organics subject. I did this big mixed media piece, drawings of different segments of a physalis, different papers and paints and pen, and then up here this is a physalis leaf, and to get the sort of veins I actually used string underneath tissue paper, and then I drew over the top, and then I have a little sketch of a physalis down here which I think was inspired by Miyahara Hazuki. I'm really sorry that I probably butchered that. This is also the point at which I started taking my own reference photos. As you can see, that was pretty important when you were getting onto your own work, that you had your own reference photos so that you were not stealing another person's intellectual property. So there you go. This is perhaps one of my favourite pages in this book. I spent a long time on these two paintings. I have to say, they are artist copies. These are not my own designs. I cannot take credit. You can see it is an artist copy of Leanne Egerton. Yeah, it's just lovely paintings, and I did them in acrylic. I think you can sort of see my interest in like abstraction a little bit, because these are quite geometric, blocky shapes, bright colours. That's all stuff that I feel like has fed into my work later on. Okay, this page is quite an interesting one. It's just drawn designs for a sculpture that I was going to have to do. So these are lots of different ideas all done in pencil. This is a classic staple of GCSE, is black paper and a white pen. No one can tell me that that is not an Art GCSE aesthetic, because it is. And I thought it would be really cool to do these like burnt edges to my pages and actually set my whole paper on fire and burn half my drawing off, so I wouldn't recommend that. And so I ended up going with my fourth design, which is this kind of jewellery box-esque physalis structure. This is just showing the process of me making it and evaluating it at the end. Also, we then later did some like relief work. This is made out of paper mache. Quite honestly, I have no idea why I made it into a melting physalis. I think I tried to explain it as looking at growth and decay and how things decay, but it just does look a bit weird. But it's nice to have the sort of textural element in your book, and also just some colour samples. We move into our next brief, which I think was identity. This mood board goes across to the next page. I had lots of different words as well as pictures that I felt could represent someone's identity. This is a nice page. I think we've got a little bit of Twiggy, a little bit of Audrey Hepburn, and this is just practicing a technique called continuous line drawing. This one you were allowed to look at the image and you had to draw out what you saw without taking your pen off the paper. On this page I have 2 more mind maps and some drawings that go along with it to try and represent their personality, I guess. So Honors is quite bubbly and she's got her mouth open and it's quite an action shot, whereas my dad's drawing is a lot calmer and more chill. They're not the best drawings, but I quite like the layout of the page. Then I moved on to self-portraiture. As all my friends know, for some reason I just draw a lot of my own face, I think because I'm around and I'm free. This is 2 different types of drawings of me when I just got my braces off from school. And I did some little close-ups as well. One's in pencil, one's in pen. The bark comes from a tree at my childhood home, so it's actually quite nice to like have a piece of that now because I don't live there anymore. So perhaps the bark in some way does represent my upbringing and my personality, my identity. So there you go. Oh, I just hate this page. So this is a artist copy of Joshua Miles. I did my own self-portrait, and the only reason I'm going to show you this is because it just shows you that not everything you make is inherently going to be good, especially at GCSE. You're still learning, and so oh dear, it's not good. It doesn't look like me at all. I don't know why I did the black hair. Yeah, but we move on. We move. In contrast, I love this page. This is my Van Gogh page. I've always been a fan of Van Gogh. He's well loved for a reason, and his self-portraits are amazing, and so I tried to do it in my own style. It's in acrylic paint, and obviously the proportions are not correct, but I don't know. What do you think? I feel like it's got a vibe in there somewhere, quite a serious version of myself. This page, not really much to talk about apart from that it is a development page, so drawing ideas for what I wanted my final piece to look like. And then this is the progress page of my final piece for that project, where I did a big painting which had a sort of graphic-y style inspired by Joshua Miles, and then the curls, the swirling pattern was inspired by Van Gogh, and it's just like my eyes, because I thought it'd be edgy and mysterious, and it's like you can see part of someone. The eyes are the view to the soul, something like that. I don't know. It's an alright painting. I still have it, and it sits in my art shed, and it's just chilling. I don't hate it. Okay, so this is another artist study. I actually switched teachers at this point. So then when he was like, yeah, we're gonna do this artist study, the Boyle family, and basically look at like pavement slabs or the ground and just use that as a study, I think we were all highly confused. But Miss Barlow, you were one of my faves. Don't know why we ever doubted you. So I basically made this kind of cardboard print and then made lots of versions of the print. So we did some paper rubbings, which I did a lot as a kid, so I actually quite enjoyed the nostalgia of it, and I like the textures and things. And then this is the big piece that we did, inspired by the Boyle family, and it is made out of mud rock, and then it is painted to look as close to reality as I could do at the time. I'm not really a realistic painter, but I really liked the kind of blue background with this red brick, and I loved the sort of textural effect. Oh yeah, okay, we're getting to the end, and to be honest, the end of this book is quite a disappointment, and I don't think I'm going to show you the final piece from this project just because it was so bad. We got given a concept which I think was to do with change and seasons, and I decided that I wanted to look at age and how people can like emotionally develop as they get older, or how you kind of have emotional growth. So I decided to study my granddad, and then I decided to split him into different colours to represent different emotions. It doesn't look terrible at this point. And then I included some artist studies. So there's Claire Pastali. Basically I did a bunch of collages inspired by her, and then using my colours as well. And I think if I had kept to an actual collage for my final piece, or I don't know, just done a drawing or something different to what I actually did, it would have looked better. But basically this was my final piece idea. I actually split my granddad's image into like multiples, and it's meant to be kind of like the break of a personality, or the break of the different emotions through time, I guess. Sometimes you just don't want to relive. I mean, they were generous in that they gave me a B for this final project. Overall though, this book was an A. Just that last project was not it. I'm well aware that this is a long video, so if you do not care about the small book, that's fine. Thank you very much for watching to this point. But for now, we are going to move on to my final piece book, which is this little A4. I mean, I didn't fill this all up, and I don't think I would have filled nearly as much in an A3 either. We were again given a theme. We were actually given an exam paper, and it had lots of different themes or stimulus in it, so you didn't all end up doing the same theme, if that makes sense. I picked force. I just thought it would work really well for portraiture, which was something I was still interested in at the time. I really wanted to look at kind of distortion, which is quite funny because if you've watched my A-level video, I literally went and did the same thing. So clearly somewhere deep down I knew that I wanted to play around with abstraction, but I just was doing it through portraiture, which is also something I still am interested in doing, like abstract portraiture. Yeah, so I have another mood board, lots of photos of inspo, and then a mind map. And then I started dive straight into artist studies. So this is Gillian Lambert, great artist. She does these awesome drawings of like distorted bodiless figures, like it's just their heads. And so I did a close-up drawing study of one of her works, and then I photocopied that image, and then I added some actual physical string, and then I moved on to doing my own versions of that, where I actually wrapped my hand in string and I got my own primary photos. I actually did this in, I think it was ink, and then I played around with adding string and sewing some textural string on here. This page, oof, I love this page, but it took me so long. And again, not my image. I spent so much of my time doing artist copies. I do think it really helped me learn how to paint and how to learn more things about perspective and about colour and colour mixing. This is an artist duo called Cara Thayer and Louis Van Patten. I did a painting copy of these hands gripping a back and like contorting the skin. I just love it. Then another artist copy, this is Rosanna Jones. She did photography and like digital art, and so I just took one of her photographs and I tried to replicate the kind of skin tones and paint over it. I got a friend of mine to pose for me, and then I practice filling in this kind of like colour around it, and I did very tiny, 5 tiny little versions down here with like fabric, fine liner, acrylic, tissue paper and ink. I think I just needed to loosen up a bit, so I looked at Jackson Pollock, an abstract artist, finally, hooray. I like this page. It was really fun to make and just throw paint around, and this is actually a ink marble on paper, and there's some more marbling here. I actually took my own photos trying to use like nail varnish and stuff, but it didn't really work that well. So here I had a little bit of a rethink, and I did another mood board and another mind map. I decided I wanted to focus on hands rather than the face, I think. I did another artist copy. This is like combining 2 artists here. So Jenny Saville, who you are all probably familiar with, and then Caroline Schmidt was a photography artist, and so I used a photocopier. This is so fun. If you haven't done it, I would just recommend doing it because it's like such a laugh to see the results. But you basically open up your photocopier, put your hands or your face or objects onto the photocopier, close your eyes, you do not want to blind yourself, close your eyes, and then get something dark like a blanket and throw it over you, and then get someone to hit the scanner, and it will scan these silly, kind of scary photo montages of yourself. yeah, they're really cool images, but it's also really fun to do, so would recommend. I was pretty interested in doing hands, but I wanted to show like a diverse range of ideas. Yeah, I was just playing around with compositional ideas for my final piece. I ended up going with the 2 hands. I kind of feel like this would have been like an interesting final piece to do, but hey ho, you know, in hindsight. So here you can see me practicing my composition with different mediums. So I did like oils, tissue paper, and I took my own reference photos as well to use. I got another reference photo, a better one, and I did some experimentations with my ink to see whether it would actually work on the canvas type that I was going to be doing my final piece on. This is like a little prototype of my design, which spot where else this design is in my room. And then this was me practicing the background colours. Oh, I also took some photos of like vines and stuff that I wanted to wrap around the arms to kind of contort them. And that is the end of that project. This is my final piece behind me here. Wow, not even a photograph, like an in-person. You know what? I refuse to actually show it to you this way around because, slight rant, basically this painting was always designed to go like this. But in my book I had to do it horizontally, otherwise it wouldn't fit. I presented it like this is the way that I wanted it. It's kind of got a little bit of like heaven and hell vibes to me now. You know, it's like meant to be someone who's reaching out of a dark place and the other person grabbing their arm and pulling them up. So it's meant to be like a sign of hope, and the vine helps connects them together. So it's kind of that relationship and bond between the 2 people. You wouldn't get that because at my final exhibition it was presented like this. For some people they're going to be like, it's not a big deal, Alicia. To me it was really annoying because the whole idea was it was meant to be pulling upward. And with that all being said, I did get an A star and I really enjoyed art. It was something that I spent most of my time doing. I practically lived in the art room. And thank you very much for watching. Do not forget to like and subscribe down below if you enjoyed this video. I will see you in the next video. Bye!